The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. So we're continuing our MSP Breakthroughs segment, and we sit down with different MSP leaders who have experienced real moments of transformation in their business. There are decisions and strategies that created this lasting impact. And today, I am joined by Josh Hohbein. He's the information security lead at CentrexIT. Josh, how are you doing today?
Great.
It's great to see you. This is the first time that we've seen each other in person.
We did meet each other like for 3 minutes briefly. Lodge, but
Okay.
was like,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I think this
This is our first
time.
like real quality
absolutely.
time. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we see each other like weekly calls and, but it's always great to connect in person. And, so I really appreciate you being here. Maybe you could just kind of start out telling us a little bit about CentrexIT.
Yeah, CentrexIT has been around for about 22 years at this point. I've been with them for about the last 3. I have almost 20 years of IT MSP experience myself. So we're just under 60 employees. So on the larger side, and we work with a handful of different clients, but kind of specialize in larger nonprofits and biotech and professional services.
Nice. And I mean, you got to love the space we're in, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the community, the channel, the MSP. I love it. I tried leaving and I came right back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're locked in for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to dive into the breakthrough. You shared that aligning your organization to a cybersecurity framework was a turning point. And I do know that from our calls, it's a topic that many MSPs, aspire, but they're not quite there yet. And I think a lot of times, for us to be able to adopt and accept something, it's helpful to hear it from someone else. We're not competitors all out here. I always like to say it's co-opetition.
Yep.
And we all want to work together to help each other out because it just makes us stronger as a community. So before we jump into your breakthrough, what was life like in your MSP before you guys adopted a framework?
Yeah, it was different clients, a different cyber solution. So it was, hey, these clients used it. This one was for this one. There was some standardization, but not as much as there should have been. And there really lacked a cohesive security strategy for, ourselves and our clients. So we had the right things in the right places. There was certain things, there was some alignment to CIS, but the stack itself, the technology used, the professional services, the people, they weren't as aligned as they needed to be. And it was really, kind of a more reactive model. And not only that, from not just a tech perspective, but on the operations side, kind of a little bit of a headache. Like, well, these guys get this, these guys get this. So it makes the back office stuff difficult too.
Right. And, it's never easy to be able to live in that kind of fragmented world. What kind of impact did that have on your team?
Really confusion, like, oh, these people, hey, does this client, like, what do they have? So how do I know which portal to go to help them? Or, oh, these guys have this, but these guys don't. So it made actioning, them, difficult. And then I already mentioned kind of the back office stuff. A lot of manual work went into, okay, well, I need, these 6 clients are on this, so I need to know that this is on this anyways. Right. A lot of manual true ups and things like that, and some confusion. So again, I feel like at a lot of times in most MSPs, we're going to start there, right? We have, this is a good tool. It's a good solution. But again, you need that. If you want to be more efficient, if you want to grow, you're going to need that operational efficiency and to have things that, work together to, we all say the what is the buzzword, synergize, but it's a thing, right? Like it has to work together.
Right. Now, when we think about implementing a framework, it sounds like a monumental task. And of course, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
But do you think that's why that many MSPs, shy away from it?
Yes and no. So it's like, well, there's so many out there, right? There's, what do you do with? You go NIST, you go CMMC, you go CIS and all this. But the other side of it is there's no easy button. Like there's not a tool that's going to just make you compliant, right? So,
Right.
a lot of us, especially in the MSP world, look to technology as, that's going to fix all of our problems. But really it comes down to the people in the process of how we do those things and then utilizing technology to help us.
Okay.
Additionally, with that, it can get confusing. It does get confusing.
Yeah.
If you don't have someone to guide you through the controls, you're interpreting them how you want, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that does go into it, and it can be intimidating and confusing for sure. So it's like you get that decision paralysis. Like, well, I don't even know where to start, so I'm not going to.
Right. But you don't want that to hold you back.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how we approached it, and the shameless plug to your YouTube channel, we actually did a What the Function Wednesday on it, where I go through, because I think that's really the missing part. Is you're listening to podcasts like these, you're attending sessions, you're attending other webinars, and I'm not going to be the first one. I'm sure you've heard it before. If you want a security program, you have to align to a framework.
Yeah.
What's missing is the how to. And I mean, really, that's how I've made my career in the MSP industry. I come from restaurant world, and one of my things that I take pride on is I can explain things in a way that most can understand it. So taking the the practitioner, like, hey, I've done this, and just trying to simplify it a little bit, because it is confusing. There's a lot that goes into it, but we can boil it down. We can make it easily digestible. We can take other things like cyber insurance and kind of, not our own framework, but we've adopted just a simpler one, and it's made it quite a bit easier to align ourselves to and our clients, and sharing it with other MSPs as well.
Yeah.
Because again, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's not fully aligned to CIS. There's controls missing from it, but it doesn't have to be. It gets you to a standard baseline that is better than not having anything at all.
Right. So, what made you realize that you needed to fully, we touched on some of this, but,
Yeah.
just kind of delve in a little bit deeper. What helped you realize that you needed to fully align with the framework, and you ultimately just needed to get serious about it?
I mean, really, like, two aspects of it is we want to properly secure our clients. We need to follow a best practices framework. We don't want to just throw tools at it. We need, why are we throwing these tools on it? The BBIT process. Those things exist. They're called frameworks. They're the best practices that are made up of people way smarter than me that have decided, hey, these are the things that we should do, the common guidelines, and they change,
Yeah.
So following that, knowing like, hey, if we're following this, we're at least doing the right thing, as per the other major groups that have made these. But on the non-tech side, looking at it from the business operations side, we need to be more efficient. Like, I can't be trained on 4 different tools that do the same thing, but that's not scalable. Again, going back to that back office thing, you have that bundle where, hey, every client gets this, so we know that this is going to be on every invoice. From training my staff, or from training the SOC analysis on this, I would like them to be specialized in this. I'm not saying that tools do have to change, but again, you need to have that cohesive strategy so you're able to grow operationally and maturely.
What framework did you guys choose to adopt?
So we're mostly CIS, but it is modified a little bit to add cyber insurance requirements. But I would say it's 80% CIS, and then the rest are kind of some free win best practices, and then cyber insurance guidelines that are on all of those forms we fill out.
So we talked about the fact that many might steer away from this because it is monumental, and it is, right? But in order for us to do the right thing, we have to do the hard work.
Yep.
And what did that look like?
Oh boy, a lot.
I mean, you still have all your hair,
for now.
Yeah.
But as weird as it sounds, I went back to the restaurant mentality when I when I would grow the business, or take over the kitchen. I actually had a sign that is set up. It said, "Do the basics right." You can't do any of the advanced cool stuff if you don't have the foundational skills right, if you can't do the base requirements right. So it was established what those base requirements are. Do the basics very well. And again, what that was is simplified CIS. And really the journey that it took was I learned CIS in and out, figured out what the controls did, what they meant. And then from there, okay, we're doing these, right? We have some of the solutions in place. So we're meeting some of these. So let's map it, right? Let's take, this solution meets these controls. Okay, well, if you're familiar with CIS, there's IG 1, 2, and 3. So I took a similar approach, but I was like, man, we need to simplify this a little bit more. And again, tools aren't going to solve all of those controls. So we need to bring in professional services. And that led to, okay, so this is what the baseline level 1, like, basics look like. This is the non-negotiables. You need the bare minimum. What does that look like? And this is what it looks like. So these are the tools and services that it takes to get you there. So it's literally Excel sheet, controls, solutions. And then it really led me to, okay, well, I don't have a tool for this, or I don't have a professional service. So now going out and finding something that fit that. And then again, going into, okay, well, now I could just bundle these, because again, you need all of these for non-negotiables. I have these things that meet it. And now again, we're following ITIL, continuous improvement. Maybe there is something out there that does meet it better, but it really led to easier vendor selection and knowing how to grow and how to train the team, because they all had to meet this framework that we've established.
So you mentioned you guys have staff of 60. Mm-hmm. So whether someone has 6 or 60, you got to get the team, excited. Yep. You got to get their buy-in. What were some of the things you did to get their buy-in? Because you want them to adopt it and, and not just let it be something that, maybe I'll follow that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's the same thing as you're selling to C-levels, right? You're doing, maybe it's a proof of concept. You're leading by data. Or you're telling a story, right? So it's like, hey, this is what we're doing now, and this is why it isn't good enough, or that we need to do better. And here's what it looks like when we do better. So you're again telling that strategy, and then you're not just saying, hey, we're going to deploy this. We're training, developing internal training, POs or not POCs, SOPs, work instructions around that, doing a test group to where people can get in there and try to break it, taking their input, right? Like, what do you like about the current stuff? And like, if I introduce this, if this makes your job harder, that's not what I want to do. So getting, everyone's input on this as well. And then again, that training, the standing by them, ownership of those products, it was a journey. Like there's I know I said like we've simplified it a lot, but it wasn't, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of man hours that went into that.
Yeah. How long was this entire process?
I mean, this was like over, I would say, a good part of a year.
Okay.
And that wasn't working on it full time. That was because of having to respond to the alerts and do the day-to-day and work those, as well as, okay, well now like I had that there's no fires right now. So now I can kind of look to the future and kind of grow and then test. And again, you're not just picking one vendor. You're having to, all right, this is the gaps I need to fill. So, sending out the request for proposal and doing all of those and doing the POCs. So it took quite a while, and it is something that's continually evolving, but we're at a really good spot where it is right now.
So for an MSP that doesn't have anybody dedicated. So let me back up a little bit. You were brought in to make this happen.
Yep.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was, they were hiring for information security lead. They were hiring somebody to really take over and own the security product in the department of the MSP. So it was built really to be the wear the security hat.
Yeah. So for an MSP that decides, I need to do this, I'm going to be committed to making this happen. Is it the right decision to bring somebody in, or can they do this with existing staff? And I know that's a loaded question because there's a lot of variables.
There is a lot of variables, but I think the important thing is somebody has to be like the security officer, right? In our maturity model, in level one of the controls is a designated security officer.
Okay.
When we're presenting that to a client, that cannot be an external resource. That cannot be us. It is somebody at the client who is taking ownership of their cybersecurity program. That includes the maturity, the training, who we contact in the case of an incident, who is the champion for cybersecurity in their organization.
Yeah.
So if you're following our maturity model, you need that person at the MSP. Now, whether you hire for it, whether it is maybe it's one of the owners, maybe it's somebody that you do make their position, the engineer, but somebody has to own the cybersecurity and be that designated resource.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked about that in our calls where, every client should have somebody that is, a compliance manager. And like you said, it might not be their full-time job, but if it is an ops manager, if it's the owner, but it's not all on us.
Yep.
Exactly. It's a partnership.
Yep.
And we don't own their organization. We don't lead their organization, and they're the ones that have to have that commitment. And do you find that there's pushback from any clients? Like, well, what do you mean I need somebody? This is why am I hiring you? Right.
I wouldn't say pushback. I think it's kind of lack of education. And in fact, the opposite is we're usually told we're one of the first few that actually tell them that.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I would say, hey, I'm here to be your partner, to guide you. Football team term, I'll get you to the 90-yard line, but ultimately it's your football. You got to cross that end zone, right? It's your data, it's your business, it's your dollars and cents, it's your employees, right? And as much as I can do, I will, but ultimately it's not mine.
Right.
It's yours.
Yeah. So, let's just talk about, we talked a little bit about the challenging part, and we talked about, you just can't wing it. What's one piece of advice, one, I guess, final thing that you would say for an MSP that wants to put this in place?
Don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right?
Yeah.
You just pick one and start with it. So have your designated security officer and pick what works for you. Even if it is, if CIS is too much, take your insurance thing. There's 40 questions on there. There's your framework. Make sure you're aligning to that.
Yeah.
There's other things you can look at. Australia, Essential 8. There are 8 things. It's very oversimplified, but again, it's a starting point, and it's better than not doing anything.
I like that. Yeah. All right, Josh, I want to thank you for your time. We know that, this is a journey. It's not something that can be done overnight. Aligning a cybersecurity framework is a bold and strategic move. And there's a lot of MSPs that will, value this insight. So thank you very much for your time. And for everybody listening out there, thank you. These are one of our segments of our MSP breakthroughs, and we will continue to publish more of them. And hope you enjoy this. Until next time, have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.